long list thing to read out to you. Right, okay. Where am I going first? Right, tonight we've got Janet Sargent, a mixed bag journey to the truth of all truths. The fat lady is singing Hallelujah, Hosanna. Janet Sargent brings together a varied range of personal experiences in her search of the truth, from strawmen, bailiffs, ayahuasca, flat earth, the final grand deception, the biggest lie and the greatest truth. Janet will attempt to join the dots and bring into focus how through being willfully fooled, we readily accept the spoon-fed drivel constantly being poured into our minds that takes away our God-given rights as a human being to be still and know God. Yes, God. Yeah. Probably the truth that will will resist the most. As Janet and many others resisted at first, the trouble is the truth is so obvious that it's often overlooked. Keep your hearts and minds wide open and let the encounter begin. Please welcome Janet Sargent.
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm just going to start by saying I'm a very simple woman, and I'm going to explain this very simply using pictures of what's happened to me.
Sorry. Cool.
Is that better?
Yeah.
It's a bit echoey.
And I'll sort that. I'll try and sort that. There you go. Try that.
So that's why it's a mixed bag journey, because a lot of things have happened to me. I'm searching for the truth, diving down all the rabbit holes, and there's nothing I haven't really tried. Ayahuasca being probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. So that being said, we'll start. So about 4 months ago maybe, I was driving through Thornton and I saw one of these signs and I was thrilled. I thought, yes, it's out. Oh my God, because I've been looking at, not the legal name fraud, but the birth certificate. And I went and took a picture of it. And I thought, it's not in the internet anymore, it's out there. But I found out last week that this is probably a scam as well, because as much as they bring things out, they want to cover it up as well. So let's go on to the birth certificate. This is how my simple mind began to understand what the birth certificate meant. So you register at birth, your parents register at birth, and what you're actually doing is handing the baby over to the state without realising. If the baby's been born in a state-registered hospital and touched by a state-registered midwife or paediatrician, then that baby belongs to the state and you've got to get it registered within so many weeks. If it's not touched by a state-registered midwife or paediatrician, then you don't have to get it registered. But then what would you do if you didn't get it registered? Because it won't be able to do anything. So this was my way of understanding. So a paper twin baby is created that's separate from me and is owned by the Crown Corporation, and it clearly says, not on my birth certificate because I looked, it doesn't say copyright, but on my children's birth certificate I can see it here. Crown copyright, and also saying not evidence of identity. Sorry. And also they attach to it, this is the way I've understood this from my learning, they attach the title to the name, Master, Miss, Mr, Mrs, etc. Because they own that title. So they adjoin it to your birth certificate bond is created. They then change the name to all capitals, which creates a separate person, which can be used in legal matters, legal fiction person, a corporate entity, and this is how you are recognised in the world by other corporations. The rules and regulations placed upon the person are based on laws of the sea, maritime admiralty law, details pertaining to how you arrived, birthed or birthed from your mother's waters, and a multitude of other regulations can be imposed on your person from the state because of this paper. Your rights are taken and privileges are given in exchange for your name at registration, and full disclosure was not given to your parents. And this is where the fraud originally starts, because I'm sure that if my mum knew that there was another me, she'd be like, no way, you're not creating another one of her, there's just no way. So they've not, most parents wouldn't. You're giving your child away, and it's going to cost you a lot of money as well. They're complicated methods to confuse our simple minds. And your life is paid for in full just because you're here and breathing. When I found out about the bond, I've not found out enough about that yet, but apparently just because you arrive in the world and your birth certificate's there, it's worth about, I think, £990,000. So basically, it's, the way I've got my head around it again is, you can't own you can't patent something that's alive, you can't own it. So what can you do? So you can pretend or make something else so that you do own it, but you own the paper. And if you stick the paper onto the flesh, you think you are the paper. And it's the paper that goes out into the world, not the flesh. Because you can't get anywhere in this world without your birth certificate. It's like a ticket, but you didn't come here with a ticket, you don't need one. We are classed as chattel or cargo on a ship, used for the purposes of commercial law and commerce from the identity of the paper person. A corporation which can then be used to do business with other corporations with the law of contracts in order for the living being to access the world. Other corporations include the health service, education system, the councils, governments, benefit system, banking systems, passport agency, DVLA, etc. It's like, wow. So you haven't got a choice, you're sort of in the state whether you like it or not, and they've made a lot of money off you without you even knowing. And it's like you've arrived, so everything's free, I think, in this world. God gave you everything. You plant a seed in the ground and it just grows. You don't have to do anything. Water, we breathe the air, everything's free, but they want to charge for everything so they can enslave us. Well, this is at the Black's Law Dictionary, but again, somebody said that's a bit corrupt last week. A human being considered capable of having rights and of being charged with duties, while a thing is the object over which the rights may be exercised. Persons are divided by law into natural and artificial. Natural persons are such as the God of nature formed us. Artificial are such as created and devised by human laws for the purposes of society and government, which are called corporations or bodies politic. So it's like there's a flesh and blood you, and there's the paper you. You can't go out into the world as flesh without the paper. So they really do own, and I've read all of Kate of Guy's stuff and all of Mary Elizabeth Croft. I read all of her stuff, and I was really starting to understand, I'm suffering. A man can't tell me what to do, but if I accept that paper, then I have to abide by the rules of that. Let's give it to me, and to be in the state and to get anywhere. So I couldn't access the hospitals or the schools. You've no say in anything. We all have to abide by it. We have no choice. I thought this was really funny. I thought we're having a corporation. So a natural person, human being in law, living soul, created by the image of the Creator, possessing inherent inalienable rights, can never be removed, a human being. And an artificial person, a fictional entity in law, a corporation created on paper by governments, given some limited rights and privileges by its creator which can be easily removed. So to get any of these, you need your birth certificate. I looked into this. So a baby obviously hasn't got any other form of identity. So they ask for the birth certificate, but then they use the parents' passports and national insurance numbers to join to that baby as well. It's like, but it does state clearly on the birth certificate it's not to be used for evidence of identity because it's just a piece of paper. And if you take that piece of paper thinking it's you, then they own you, they own your life. So, laws of the sea as well. It's like, wow. Under UCC, by contracting such as applying for licenses, your original rights are in-turn privileges and they can lien you or set limitations on you. Your right to travel now turns into a privilege to travel. Your right to freedom of speech now turns into a privilege to protest. Your right to hold property now turns into an asset that can be seized. Your right to hunt for forage for food now turns into a privilege to fish and can be fined. These are just a few examples of the usurping UCC corporate statutes. So they're turning living entities into corporations, and people are just getting on with their lives, and the oppression is getting worse and worse and worse. People in workplaces, it's like you go to the hospital and they're busy ticking boxes, and my friend said the lady's giving birth and we've got to tick all the boxes first. The schools are the same. In your own workplaces you'll probably know about it. It's all about the paperwork, it's all about the paper. The paper's taking over the world and forgetting about the flesh, and the healing and the care that nurses once had that they don't have anymore. So again, my simple mind, this is how I've put it all together. God's law, whether you believe in God or not, is to do no harm to others or their property. This is the basic definition of law. It's also the definition of freedom. For all men are free under God's law in the United States of America and England, until the point where we break that law. You cannot break the law unless there is a living victim for which you do harm or do harm to their property. Now that's very simple. Again, simple. And it sounds right and it feels right. Does it feel right to you? Does it feel right to you?
Yeah.
So legal. The word legal or illegal is a corporate term used to represent a state of being which related to statutes, rules, codes, mandates, supposed limits that are assigned to you by the United Kingdom. While something can be unlawful, it can be legal. But remember, law always trumps legality. In the case of something being illegal, no living victim is required under corporate legality. And so the state assumes the role of the victim. It's just cheeky. I've got a friend who's a solicitor, and when I've spoken to her about any of these things, she laughs at me because they're not trained up in law, they're trained up in legalese and legal, because that's the world of paper, and that's where they can get the control over your life and enslave you. And when you go to court, the barrister, the solicitor is all representing your flesh. You don't need representing because you're there. How can you be represented as a piece of paper? You're already there. I don't need to be represented. And the solicitors and the barristers have a duty to the court first, so they're not really representing you anyway. They're representing your paper in the court so that they can do the paper. But you stick it on your flesh because you've accepted the solicitors to stick up for you, thinking that that's what they're doing, but they're not. And they're also charging you probably thousands of pounds to do it. It's disgusting. So what started happening to me, because I started looking into all this, I got a council tax. Oh, it's a bailiff letter I think I got. A bailiff letter from the council tax by a council. And I thought, So I rang the council and I said, I think I've not paid, I haven't moved in the house that long. I said, I've got a letter from the bailiffs, and I said, can I sort it out with you? She went, no, I'm sorry, it's been passed over now, so, we can't do anything about it. And I was like, wow. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this, what I've been reading about. I'm gonna have to face it and see what happens. So I'd already written quite a few letters to the loans, the credit cards and banks, things, and they didn't come back, nothing came back with the get out of .org. I used their templates, started to understand what I was doing, put my own stuff in there as well, and yeah, that worked. But with the council tax, they weren't stopping, and they were sending letters. I was having a bit of a tennis match, sending letters back and forth. They never answered any of my questions, and then one day I was dancing to Bob Marley or something, Stand Up For Your Rights, funnily enough, and some information came into my head. And it was like telling me what to do when the bailiffs come. The bailiffs are coming, and here's what you do. I was like, right, okay. So sure enough, about 2 weeks later, there was a knock on the door, but it was at 11:30 at night, and I looked out the window, and it's a police officer. I thought, oh my God. Oh. I went into my daughter, I said, what have you done? The police are here. She went, I haven't done anything. I said, well, what do they want? She went, I don't know. And I was like, oh, God, I'm going to have to do it to the police. So I thought, right, just do it. So I went out the back, put my coat on, I went out the back door, locked the door, I locked the gate, and I went round to the alley. And I think he had a torch or something. And I just put my hand up. I said, who are you? I said, well, I'm a police officer. I said, well, I don't know that. You could be dressed up for all I know. I said, get off my property. Off, get off. And he went back to the pavement, and then I was a bit terrified, but I just thought, I'm going for it. I was practicing, so I come out with some stuff. I said, do not speak to me. I said, I don't give you permission to speak to me. I said, anything you've got to say, I don't want to hear. And to be fair, that is right. In that moment, I don't know that man. He's a total stranger. So I don't care what you've got to say. I don't care where you've come from. I don't care who you work for. I don't care if you've got a uniform on. I don't know you. You're a stranger. Now get lost. So I said, I don't want your voice resounding in my ears. Something like that. And he started trembling. And I thought, oh God, what does he want now? And I was practicing. And he just went, I'm here for a missing girl. I said, okay, I apologise. Who is it? and it was one of my daughter's friends had gone missing, so that was okay. But I thought, oh, flipping heck, you know. But I did it. I did what I was told to do, and he went back. Anyway, so I thought, right, well, the bailiffs will definitely go. So about a week later, knock on the door, I thought it's a bailiff. So I locked the front door, I went to the blind, and peeked through the blind, and this guy, who was about that tall, with his glasses on the end of his nose, looking down at me in my own house like a naughty school kid. What the flipping heck do you think you are? You know, so again, I put my coat on, I went round the back, I locked the gate, I didn't speak, I just said, get off my property. I didn't look at off, and he wouldn't move, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do now. I wanted to push him. And he was intimidating, he was really tall, and he still was looking down at me like I was a naughty schoolgirl. Oh, you cheeky so-and-so. So I was like, I said, have you seen the notice in the window? Because I had no trespass notice. And he said, yeah. And I said, get off my property. You're trespassing. He said, it's not illegal. So I said, well, I'm not legal. But what I should have said was, it's unlawful, but I was still practising. And then I said, he said, this is being filmed. I said, what? You come on my property and film me without my permission? What, are you a pervert or something? And he looked at me, I said, right. I said, I'm going to film you. So I ran back in to get my phone. When I come back, he'd gone. And I mean, like, gone, like, oh, it's gone. I thought, right, okay, that worked. So then, about 2 weeks after that, a knock at the door. No, somebody posted something through my door about 8:30 in the morning. I was getting the kids ready for school. I was on my own in the house with the kids. And I saw this van outside, and like a black shiny van. I thought, oh my God, it's really, quite intimidating. So I did the same. He picked his paper up. And I found it always odd how they post those papers unsealed through your door, so they can't actually prove whether you read it or not. But I didn't read it anyway, it wasn't mine. So I went round the back, I knocked on his window, I said, don't post your rubbish in my letterbox, it's not a bin. Because he brought that, that's not mine. I didn't ask for that, so that's his. And I said, would you mind moving your van? I need to take my child to school. And he said, no, we've come for your car. I said, what? I said, what do you mean you've come from my car? He said something about an unpaid council tax bill, and it was like, well, you don't know anything about me. I said, you don't even know who I am. And he said, you're Janet Sargent. I said, am I? How do you know? I've never met you before. How do you know who I am? Because he can't know who I am. He's never seen me before. He doesn't know me. He's a stranger. So I said to him, I was terrified. I was shaking. My child came out, and he was terrified, and it's like, and this guy was like, have I got a picture of him? Wait a minute. There he is. He was like a carpet carrier, like a hunky chunky thing, and so was the other one. I was like, I get really mad. I need to learn not to get mad, but when my adrenaline's pumping, so maybe I acted a bit out of order. So I said, move. He said, no. Then, so I've read something like, if you sit in your car, they can't do anything. So I sat in my car and I couldn't move. And I was like, what do I do now? I'm going to get the kids to school and he's not going to move. And I was like, I didn't want to get in the car, out the car. I thought, give him the paper back. So I've not accepted the paper. So he should go. And I don't know what they were going to do. But I went up and I said, move. He said, no. So I was like, you don't know who I am? I said, okay, who are you? So he said, well, I'm such a body from such a place. So I said, oh, a piece of plastic round your neck. I said, flipping heck. I said, oh, is that a photograph of you on as well? And your name? I said, oh, is that in case you forget who you are? I said, that's not you, I can see you, I can hear you. I could even touch you, but I don't want to. I said, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. You've not been around for a cup of tea and a slice of cake. I said, I don't know you. And I don't know about you, but I'm only alive now. Now, that's it. So when now was then, he can't touch me because I don't need representing. He was trying to stick that paper on me so we could engage with his plastic, and get the job done, whatever. And it was like, I don't care who you are, who you work for, what your name is. whether you like Christmas cake or not, I believe in Santa. It's none of my business. You're not invited here. Now go. They weren't moving. And then I said, oh, you work for the devil, all sorts of... How am I going to get rid of them? Really intimidating. Anyway, reinforcements came and started videoing what was going on, and I took some pictures. And in the end he said something like, I'm going to let your tyres down. So he went to let the tyres down and he drove off. And it was like, oh my God, wow. I was fuming. So then I wrote to Wire Council, I wrote to Rossendales, that's where they come from. I mean, I went on a bit, but I was asking them all the right questions. It's like, how can you treat people like that? How dare he tell me?
Did you film him letting your tyres down?
No, he didn't let my tyres down, I was going to let his tyres down. So he drove off. Yeah, no. That's what got rid of them. But it left me for about 3 days, like, terrified, thinking, a strange man knows where I live, and I give him some grief, and I don't know, he might come back. I went a bit like, I don't like that. It's a real invasion. It's an invasion of my privacy. And who does he think he gets his authority from? Because he's got a piece of plastic. Oh, because he's all walking around these pieces of plastic round our neck. What's going on? A piece of plastic? Eh? They've upgraded £5 notes, haven't they, now, from paper to plastic as well? It's been upgraded. Anyway, so that's nice. Oh, so I started asking myself, where does he think he gets his authority from? Well, you know, to do that to another human being, it's quite the opposite of what I've been learning recently, where, like, you know, love thy neighbour and I'll stab your neighbour in the back and run for your life. So I thought, okay, from his workplace he's got rules and regulations and he can do this and you're allowed to do that and and where does that come from? You know, where the council says it's okay to do that, and you know, and the government, and it's like Parliament. Okay, what's Parliament? I've never really ever had a look at it before, just like a load of, well, there, look at them. So this is what they swear. I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth, heirs and successors according to law. Law, so help me God. That's God twice in the Queen. I was like, it's really strange that. Wow. So I thought, oh, this has been somebody being sworn in. And so the Crown, oh yeah, Parliament, the House of Lords, the House of Commons and the government. So I thought, okay, let's have a look at the Queen. I know who the Queen is, but I don't know her. I've never really had a interest really. And I've discovered some like very simple stuff again. But this is interesting. With religion is run by Vatican City. Can you see that? Yeah. Finance, City of London, and the military, Washington DC. Wow. And a lot of us know about all this kind of stuff anyway, coming to places like this, watching it on the internet. And everybody that's sat here today, I must say, is loving thy neighbour, because you don't want to see people being treated like that anymore. Already know, you know, it's time to say, hey, it's stuffed and leave us alone. So, the Queen. The whole earth is governed by the Crown through the Crown colonies which belong to the city, the Crown Empire. It governs Africa and still governs China and India. The colonies of the earth are really just Crown colonies. The United States of America are states of the Crown. Wow. The laws passed by governments only apply to corporations and not to living, breathing, flesh and blood, suffering free men and women, spelt in upper, lower R, or lowercase, and such as John Doe or John Doe. The Queen is figurehead of the Crown Corporation, Crown City of London being one of the 3 main institutions ruling the world and governs finance. Washington DC governs military, and Vatican Rome governs the religious institutions. And all this is going on. And I had a look at like the British Empire and its peak, and it's like, his fingers in all the pies. Look at that. It's like, what is it? 23% of the world population at the time, and by 1920 it covered, I can't even say that, 35,500,000 kilometres, 24% of the Earth's total land area. So, and I looked at it in recent times, and it doesn't appear to do that now, because it's almost like they went into those places, sucked everything out, maybe got me into debt somehow, I don't know, so they were ever owing to the crown. But it would always look like the crown had nothing to do with it now. That's just my view on it, because I'm simple, like I keep saying. And I thought, it's about right, yeah, suck it all out of them, bleed them dry, pile it all up in there. I've got I'm the queen. Oh, so then I went on to, there's a queen to our allegiance to. The queen placed her hand on the Bible, as she knelt and promised before God to perform her solemn oath. She then kissed the book and signed the oath. The ceremony continued as these words were spoken to her. Our gracious queen, to keep your majesty ever mindful of the law and gospel of God, as the rule for the whole life and government of Christian princes, we present you with this book, the most valuable thing this world affords. Wow, those are really strong words, right? And I went through the whole of the coronation, and it's a full biblical ritual. Did any of you know that? Yeah. So I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel very godly what's going on, does it? It doesn't feel like she's doing, or they're doing, claiming allegiance to God. And I have read some of the Bible, and what it says, it's that to me they're not doing God's will. And I was like, how's that possible? Is it just tradition? Do they have to do that? Does she really believe in God? Does it even matter? Why does she have to swear on the Bible anyway? Why can't she just get a crack? What? So I had to look into it a little bit. Oh, here is wisdom. This is the royal law. These are the lively oracles of God. So then I came across something else called the stone of scone, or Jacob's pillow, the coronation stone, known in Gaelic, the Leah Fail, the stone of destiny. Ooh, what's that? Well, I was thrilled. It's the stone where Jacob laid his head. Jacob is the grandson of Abraham and the son of Isaac. And the God in the Bible is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Jacob placed his head on this stone, and this is where we have the vision of Jacob's ladder. And I'm sure you've all heard of that, haven't you? Everybody's heard of Jacob's ladder. But I didn't really, I'd heard of it, but it's like, oh, wow. So this stone, I'm not going to read all that to you, this stone goes under the coronation throne, and the throne was actually built around the stone. It just brings more truth with the Bible. But anyway, so I traced the history back, and there's a few different stories of how it got here. One story is that Jeremiah the prophet brought it over, and I think he was in the days of Moses. Is that right, Joel? Yeah. And an Egyptian or king married an Irish princess, something like that. And then the other is a Spanish king brought it back with somebody called Princess Scott, and it went to Ireland. It was in Ireland, and all the Irish kings and queens got a crown on it. And then Scotland invaded Ireland, and they took it, and all their kings and queens got a crown on it. Then England invaded Scotland, and they took it, and now our kings and queens have been crowned on it. And it's like, wow, this stone actually appears in the Bible on a couple of occasions, doing absolutely miraculous things, and which I didn't know about until I read it. It's like, ooh, thrilling. Producing water when they were in the wilderness, at God's command. And this is the stone where God spoke to Jacob, and when he woke up the next morning, he anointed the stone and set it up on an altar, and it became known as Jacob's pillar. So I find it really, really interesting that they want that. They want that artifact that to me is as important as the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail or the Spear of Destiny, especially back to the days of Jacob. They've got that. So it's like, hello, they know the truth. They know the truth. And it's like, yeah, they know the truth. They know about God. They don't look like they're acting godly to me. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like a very godly world that we live in anymore. And I have asked a few people, does this world feel satanic to you? And they've all said, yes, it feels satanic. But they don't even believe in Satan, so it's definitely satanic. God isn't. So they believe in God. So how are they getting away with this? How is it possible? So it's almost like it's been created where with the paper world now, and it's took some time, and I'm going to go into a few other things later. It's took some time to get here, but it's nearly up, you know. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, maybe since the days of the Templars, to get the souls of men, control mankind. So having like two separate laws like this, so it's almost like the laws of God now. Like I spoke to my solicitor friend and she just laughs at me, and it's like, but surely that's what matters more than anything else. And it's like, no, because all the statutes and the paper and the legal, and we all know that, you know, we can't even park our car under a tree without getting a ticket on it. Cost you £30. Why? I didn't run anybody over. I didn't harm anybody's cat even or anything. I didn't do anything. What do you mean I can't park the car there or go a little bit faster? You've been born with a free will, and in a sense your free will is being taken by having these rules and regulations imposed upon you. Not saying, I mean, you have got common sense as well most people have, and using that, you wouldn't want to drive your car like a maniac. You want to harm somebody else's child by doing that. You would have your common sense about you. So in a sense, they are sort of taking your free will away by imposing their rules and regulations. And it's the only way they can get your will, because they know you've got a free will, and it's if you give it away by accepting that you're a piece of paper, then that's your problem, isn't it? You actually willingly give it away by saying, okay, I'll bow down, you know, I become a piece of paper. It's like a load of paper mache people walking around this earth these days. So, next part. I thought, it's like there's two worlds. And I come across the still fixed earth, the flat earth, and that, again, me being so simple. Do you know what got me? I watched Lawrence Wright doing his talk here. I watched it at home. And he said, why aren't the people in Australia upside down? Well, that was it. Oh, that's it. Oh, sorry. That was it. That did it. Very simple, because it's like, it doesn't matter how big a ball is, it's going to be underneath. And it's like, so all these other complex ways of showing you how the earth's made, and how it functions have been brought in, and breaking it all down again. So it was my idea that a few men, a few hundred years ago, I mean, this has been going a lot longer than that, to enslave us, but a few men, a few hundred years ago, decided that if they could convince the world it was round and spinning, that they would own it. And by owning the world, they would have to abide by their rules and regulations. Because you're in their world, you are, like parents have said, if you're within my house, you abide by my rules. And the way to take your free will even more is to create the paper, put you in the spinning ball world, and it's start imposing all its rules and regulations on you. But it's when I started looking at the still fixed earth and the shape and Antarctica and the North Pole in the middle, etc., and it's like, yes, it makes more sense. And actually, I'm stood here, and I don't need a reason to know why I'm just stood here. I don't need any complications to tell me how it's so simple. I'm just stood here. I don't need to know anything else. But to be on a ball spinning on an angle, going 1,000 miles an hour east, 67,000 miles around the sun, and like 500 million miles an hour through space, it's like you need some sort of complicated stuff, you know, to understand why you can just stand here still. And that's what they've done. They took everything simple and complicated it all up. So it takes away your mind, it takes your soul, it takes your will, because you have to look at these things in order to stand up for yourself. I've had to read that much stuff about all these legal things, and it's boring. It's boring. I've had to type letters. I'm sick of typing these letters. I don't know how many hours I've sat there doing that. What else could I have been doing? I could have been doing what I wanted to do, or spending time with my family and friends, but no, I have to sit there sifting through this drivel to try and find the truth. And you know what? Because it's their world, you'll never do it, because legal is part of the ball, spinning paper. To me, it's a spinning paper ball. Yeah, so I will move on now. So the next, this is why it's a mixed bag, so I do apologise. I hope you're following. Are you following? I came across this. If anybody's interested, I have got some amazing information. These videos, not many people have seen them. The information is, so she's been down all the rabbit holes, and I didn't know about this stuff. I'll write it down for anybody who might want to watch them. So I found out about this, and I was like, right, yeah, from Nazis to NASA, that makes sense. And the Hebrew word for tuk is up, which means bring up, went, carry, take up. And NASA also has a negative connotation: to lead astray, mentally delude, morally seduce, beguile, deceive greatly. So all these guys, they can change the world, and they can make a different world, because as scientists, what can they come up with? Well, I've already got the ball idea out there. Right, so how can we make it a bit more convincing? What can we do? Because I think when TVs and stuff came out as well, it was then so easy to convince the minds of the people, because it's just a giant hypnotist, and people are going to believe what's coming out of it. They can more or less do what they want. Oh yeah. So yeah, waiting for NASA. So just imagine, right, it's all a load of cack. And they can convince you that it's all true, it's all real, just because you've got a TV in your house or a laptop or something. But you know what they can do these days with CGI and changing photographs and 100 rolls of aluminium foil, $300, 7 motorcycle helmets. So the colour silver spray paint, 7 pairs of hiking boots. Oh my God! And it's like, wow. So when I first discovered about the still fixed flat Earth, I was like, well, why do they have to lie about that? What is it? Well, look how much money they can take. I feel that a lot of the tax that we pay, especially council tax, and is funding these kind of projects that we know nothing about, because it still takes manpower and machines and normal men to dig and travel and build machines, whatever it is they're doing, I don't know. They still have to be paid. So where did they get it from? And they're putting it onto us. But if this is all just one big show, using the TV and filmmakers, they call it NASA would, don't they, some people? They can get away with whatever they like. If your will is willing to accept that, and you believe that, you're being conned, it's deception, being deceived. So then my son went to that place, George Rowe Bank, and I discovered about the still fixed stuff, and I asked him what he did, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what they've got to show. So to get into the education system, he needed one of those pieces of paper, your birth certificate. And then they're going to tell us how the world is formed and how it exists, whether we like it or not. That's what's being indoctrinated now. And because of the curriculum, and everybody's got to be fitted into a box, and we've all got to do this and do that, we just put up with it. But what if it is lies? Your children are being taught a load of lies. Are you just going to let that happen? It's ludicrous. Globes in classrooms. I mean, look how young these children are. And I feel that we are the last generation of people that will be able to do anything about this, because in about 20 years, these little kids, well, that's all they'll know. They won't question it. We've still got the opportunity to question these things, and I think we should be, because if it's true, what are you doing? What are you doing to your children? Have you even bothered having a look properly? I know people are on the fence with the flat earth and all this stuff. And there's a lot of things, I've had a few conversations with a few people, and they're very particular on the details of this and that, but I couldn't give a monkeys about any of that, because it's all part of the paper ball, and that's not my world. That paper ball world isn't mine, and I can't do anything about it. Not a thing. So there is an alternative. Has anybody even ever looked? How is it they can't look at this in classrooms and give the children a choice or something? Introduce it. Do you feel that you're on a spinning ball, love? No. They wouldn't. We spoke to a few children and they all say they feel like it's flat. Your experience, your sense of experience, your sense of perception, all the senses that not just part of your five sense realm, but even they can blind you. We're all blind. We can't see it. They take your sense of perception away. It's very easily done because it's so simple, and with the right people behind it, the right minds, they can easily warp your perception. It's not going to take much. Not going to take much at all, especially with the TV and all that they can do. And this is an old map, and these are some Bible quotes. So the Bible actually does point out how the earth's made, and it feels like, yeah, that's probably right. They've encompassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. That's like the 200-foot cliffs of ice at Antarctica that goes all around the disc-shaped earth. That makes sense, it's held in. And it's infinite ice beyond. Yeah, does that make more sense? Well, it does to me anyway, and I'm very simple, so yeah, it does. I don't need any complications. For he looketh to the ends of the earth and seeth under the whole heaven. The ends of the earth. Are there any ends on a ball? No. He directeth it under the whole heaven, and is lightning to the ends of the earth. Again, the ends, it says edges, ends. Some people, it says corners, but some people say, well, that means quarters, but that doesn't really matter because it still says edges and ends. Take my word, to the edges of the earth. There's loads of Bible quotes about how it's been made. So because they pay so much attention to the Bible during the coronation, and your lives are actually run by the rules and regulations that are being imposed from that authority, from that book that she swears allegiance to God, it comes through, because she's not got authority over you. No other man or woman's got authority over your flesh. Only God. You haven't either, really. God, they know about, so she has to claim that allegiance, and I will serve and filter it through. You can see it. You can see it happening. So they, in my view, they know the Bible is true, and they have deceived us so that they can make their own world out of our warped perception and do whatever they want with us and enslave us. And what's the final agenda is quite sick from what I've been reading, but it does make sense. Oh yeah, gravity. I mean, that's just berserk. Look at it. Sorry, it's just crazy. Yeah, somebody's gone through a lot of trouble. They've gone through a lot of trouble. But they've had to, because once it started, probably they didn't know then what they were starting, but people have got their own... well, they've got the internet now, and you can look for yourself, and people are more intelligent, and more books out there, etc. But so they have to complicate it even more. So that I noticed as this flat Earth idea was coming out, that more things on the TV, like they were sending some British astronaut up to somewhere, to the moon or wherever, satellite, like keeping the Brits like, look at him, he's coming back and he's done this and he's done that. And it's like, more space programs, films, etc. There was one called Gravity, actually, because they must have known that this was coming out. I mean, you don't have to look very far. You just have to use your own sense, your being, your own self, and work it out. And you will see it with a new pair of fresh eyes. And go and have another look in the reality, in the physicality. Go to the horizon, go to the beach, have a look at it. With not people come here saying they've got open minds, but they haven't, because they've not dropped everything. To have an open mind, you've got to drop everything. You don't resist it, because that means your mind's open. If you don't drop it, then you're still resisting it. You've not got an open mind, have you? So drop everything and start again. This is really important for future generations. And if you've got children, you owe it to yourself to have a look at it, because if it reaches its full agenda, which I think is in about 20 years, I reckon. Yeah. So I quite like that one. These are Bible quotes. The earth is a circle, Isaiah, made with a compass, Proverbs, laid upon a face, Genesis, it's bounded, Job, as it ends, Job, does not move, Psalms. It's covered by a dome, Genesis, containing the sun, moon and stars, Genesis, which are circling. So we're not moving, the sun's moving. This is a really old, I think this is an older one than that actually, drawing of the earth, Hebrew. So when these words were going around, like, I don't know how they got it out there, because sort of getting the idea right that the earth was a ball, these ideas must have got covered up, but that drawing's been there, that's been there a long time, so that got pushed away, and it doesn't take much for it to spread lies, and people start believing it, and eventually they don't care anymore. And a lot of people I spoke to, well, so what does it matter if it's round or flat? Wow, it matters a lot, not just because it's taking your life and your soul off you by having to go to work for so long, paying your taxes that are funding projects that are nothing to do with you, and they're not even real either. So what are they really doing? I've got some other ideas about that, which I might speak about later. So say among the nations that the Lord reigns, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. Fear before him all the earth, the world also shall be stable, that it not be moved. Chronicles. You can all have a look at it for yourself, in the Bible. You can have a look. Who laid the foundations of the earth so it should not be moved forever? Now, because again, the Queen, taking that authority from that book, this book, right, she must believe that. So how is it that in the education system they're being taught a different way? Because in this book that she's swearing on, the greatest gift this world affords, that's a really strong word, this is the book of life. And you owe it to yourself to have a look, because your children, because of your children, your grandchildren, and what's going to happen. You could make a difference just by having a look at that book. And do you know what? There's loads of gifts inside it for you as well. You'll be so surprised. So surprised as I was. That's my friend bought me one years ago. I had it inside of my bed. I just used to touch it now and then. Oh yeah, I know the Bible. Yeah. And I know the Queen as well, but I didn't know about the Queen until I found out. So actually, I was very ignorant because I didn't know the Bible at all. I just thought I did because of my intellectual, I know this and I know that. It's all about me, yeah. And it tells you about that in there too, because it's not all about you. It's all about God. So here we have it. So Satan, there is in Hebrew, Satan means enemy. So we call him the enemy. And if you think you live on a satanic world, but you don't believe that there's something satanic that's causing that, then that doesn't make sense. You can blame God for the good and the bad. God is just, God is good only. God created you, he's good. So Satan's globe, earth, life, Big Bang, evolution, explain life. You're an accident, you evolved from primordial soup. There are specks in the universe. Some people are far more valuable than others. Foundation for the new world order, you are worthless. And it's all about me, me, me. They also made it very complex and busy. Now, in God's flat earth, creation is the only explanation. We're incredibly valuable. The Bible is 100% true. We live on an unmoving, firm foundation. You were created by God. God loves you. And it's still and it's simple. How many people go to, meditation, yoga, these things to stop your mind going mad, just give me a minute and breathe and sit here and you have to seek out these ways to be still, because innately you are still. That's your innate nature, stillness. That's where you've come from. So again, going off what they believe about the book, why would God make a spinning ball when there is a saying in there, be still and know I am God? Why would he make you put you on a ball doing that? He just wouldn't. He put you on a still flat plane so you can be in alignment with the Creator that put you here for your experience and for your soul, for your learning, and so you can go back. What time is it?
It's coming up at great time, whenever you're ready.
5. Shall I do that now? Yeah? So I know what's next. Oh yeah. Can we stop there and then I'll go on to the next bit? Is that, yeah?
Okay.
So does that make sense to you? Being in a busy, complex world that matches the way that they've put that out there. It's busy and complex, isn't it? A spinning ball doing all what it's doing, with all that gravity and whatever going on, very complex. But this idea, or this way of the earth, still and simple, is totally in alignment with what the Creator wanted from you. So that you could know, be still and know that I am God. You can't hear God in busyness. You have to be still. And those people that have done yoga or whatever it is you do to still your mind down, you'll know when you get that peace. But you don't have to do anything. You don't have to actually do anything at all. It's like just know God. When we found out about the earth being fixed and still and flat, it was like stepping off like a waltzer ride or something. You know, like I felt sick for about 2 or 3 days, like I feel queasy. You know, what's that? Because my perception had come back to where it was.
I will ask you, what's underneath? What's holding it up?
What's he saying?
He's asking what's underneath, what's holding it up.
Oh, well, if you read the Bible, it tells you in there. It's held up with pillars, and there's the great deep. Let's see there. Can you see this? Oh, I've not got that.
Does this ice go on forever?
Sorry?
Does the ice go on forever?
Does it go on forever?
Does what go on forever? The ice?
The ice.
I've no idea, I've not been. I can't tell you.
Is there any mention of it going on forever?
It just says infinite ice. But there are other, this operation, what's it called? Homebound or something, after Operation Paperclip, where they went into Antarctica. Oh, I can't remember when it was.
Admiral Byrd.
No, it wasn't Admiral Byrd, it was the Nazis again. And they had the technology, this is all biblical stories again, to build spaceships. And that's their agenda that's going to be coming out soon. So they've got caves and they've got underground. I've read that they've got underground cities and all kinds of things going on, which it's possible. It's possible, especially with all that council tax money. They can do what they want, can't they? You know what I mean? It's not if they're going on fake space programs and a bit of tinfoil and some motorcycle helmets, then there's a lot of money going somewhere. And if you do check the back of your council tax bill, because I put it on my letter, I want to know where my part of my contribution goes. I want, a paper trail, so I know, it could be going anywhere. It's got 7 zeros on the back and a sort code number with no name. Have you ever bothered to check?
Yeah, I've done that. You need to ask them for a receipt, that'll stop them.
Sorry?
Ask them for a receipt, that's what
I'm not sure I did that. But they just come back with all these statutes. I said, don't quote me statutes and acts, I don't. But it's like, I don't know, I didn't know then how to stand up for it. I have to stand up to it more, but it's like, wow. So there's a lot of money funding, I think, these projects, these secret projects. And if they are getting ready to put, I don't know, spaceships out there, then just look it up. Go to Operation Paperclip, look for yourself and find the next one, and it shows you the little holes where and what they've been doing, all the equipment that's been shipped over there, and I think it's possible. So here you have it. It's a paper spinning ball world with, I couldn't find, this is called a pangolin or something, and it's got a really hard shell. And that's a legal system going around the paper world. Can't get in. It's protected. Even lions couldn't crack that open. So it's all been really thought about. So the idea of owning the world gives it more credence to take your free will, because you just have your free will over. And God's law, it's a free will to do with as you want. So if it's like being deceived, you're just handing it over, not knowing. But if you did know, I'm not saying that some of the ways that are going on in the world will work, keep some of the ideas, but let the people decide. These people are Luciferians, and they're serving a different God. And if you can look into that yourself as well. But my idea and my view of it is it's a paper world, and it's very, it's very delicate paper, isn't it? So we've got to put something around it and the legal system's working. And look what they're doing now, like, well, there's a blame, there's a claim, and all this rubbish. So literally the lawyers and solicitors have taken over the world, and people are so busy claiming this and falling over the pavement and doing that. And solicitors are getting inundated with these like claims. So the legal has took over. It's there in front of your face. You all know it's true. So, yeah, people in the spinning ball world together. Like stupid, I'm not saying that a lot of you won't believe what I'm saying about the Bible or whatever, but unless you've read it, then really your opinion doesn't really count for anything. You need to read it and welcome. Somebody's asked me, can you prove God? No, I can't. You've got to do that yourself. If you're willing, you've got a free will. What if it's true and you're missing out on something? What are you resisting it for? What's the point if it is true? Because, well... Oh, so there you have it, Antarctica. No falling over the edge. And a few people actually said that, well, they don't fall off the edge. It was like, wow. I've compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. I mean, I've never been there, but it makes more sense. I've only got my senses to show me what's going on in the world right now, and that makes more sense to me. One day I might visit that, who knows, it was beautiful. Oh, and here's another idea. So I feel, I used to say, doesn't the universe look like our brain? No, they've pulled it on. Satan's clever. The complexity of divine creation inside you brought to the outside of you, deception. Because Satan can't create. I'll say Satan, but they can't create. But what they can do is counterfeit and distort, deceive. So obviously it's going to get something that's naturally the complexity is inside you. That's where he brought it out, because he wants to, on the outside, he wants your flesh. Look at all the things that are going in with the flesh in the world. It's all about the false nails and false this, false that. Everybody's falsing themselves up about the flesh. Let's train that body. Mind, body and a spirit. Just a body. So very cleverly, he's brought that from the inside, what God's done, and put it on the outside with CGIs and all these other things that they can do nowadays, and copied your complexity that's divine creation. And that makes more sense to me. So it's like, actually, I can see it now. A flat earth proves the existence of an intelligent designer God. The goal of the New World Order to destroy all ideas of God and create a worldwide Luciferian religion, all based on fraudulent ideas like a spinning ball earth, the Big Bang, evolution and gravity. Lucifer represents the human intellect becoming God. If all we are is protoplasm formed into apes, into humans from a big sneeze, then there is no God. It's all an accident. So you're God. It's all about you. There's no right or wrong. It's all relative. Anything goes. This is not what the Bible teaches. So I think people, if you did read the Bible and get to know it, it's not all about you. And there's a lot of new agey, and me and my friend have been down that road, and it is all about you. I am God. I used to say that. I can't believe I used to say that. Such an insult. I'll never be God. It's not possible. I'm a child of God, and I'm happy to be that now. I don't want to reign supreme over, and it's all feeding the ego, edge God out, earth guide only, all these terms. It makes sense now. I'm happy to be under the authority of a divine creator, knowing that I'm walking in alignment with him. Right, so here we go. Do not eat Neil's pear or Newton's apple, and you will see why they had the flat earth. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to accept what is true. And so many people are doing that. And it's like, ask yourself, if it's possibly true, well, you owe it to yourselves and your children, I'm saying this, to read the Bible and find out for yourself, or at least invite the living God. This is a new term, but it's like, wow, the living God into your heart and soul, so that you will know. And if nothing happens, then carry on. But God is waiting, he always has been, but he's moved already, and now it's your turn. So they can hide God more in a spinning ball. They don't want you to know that what the Bible says about the earth is true, because everybody, and I think Alex said a lot of the flat earthers are just running straight to the Bible because they know they've been created and the earth was created for them to experience and live in. It's beautiful. So they are hiding God in a spinning ball. The still fixed, beautifully created earth reveals God and exposes Satan. So who is Satan? Who's Lucifer? Satan is Hebrew for enemy, and he rebelled against God's authority. And he was the most beautiful angel. He was the first created angel, and he had pride, and he became jealous. And he said, let's say on there, he becomes of an angel of light. So again, all these people are into the new age and love and light and all this, and I myself was that. So when I drank the ayahuasca and I had Kuan Yin come, I thought, who was that? Because they can be anybody. They can be your ancestor, they can be a relative. Spirits generally, once they've passed, do not come back. It's just against law, it's just not possible. But demons can imitate your relatives very easily. And especially in an ayahuasca journey, so, I had all sorts of things happen. He's using me. He used me really good when I think back. So I know personally from my experience that, yeah, that's true. Because Kuan Yin was as real and beautiful and lovely as anything, but he's coming as light. He's got to come as light to deceive you. So you think, oh, yeah, but edifying that God part of me again. I'm God. I come back. I'm God. I drank that medicine. I did this and I did that. So wow, do you want a blue Peter badge? I'd rather had one of them, I think. So to deceive people, that means is behind some visions. Oh, I can give you dreams and visions as well. And I feel I've definitely had satanic visions in the form of light. And one of my talks that I did here, and Alex pulled me about it yesterday, and it's like, I don't trust that one. I know that was Satan. But I had another experience with the Holy Spirit, and that was definitely the Holy Spirit because of how I felt and what happened. So there's a spiritual war going on. And because you're a mind, body and a spirit, that's where the real war is actually happening. So if you're not protected, it can use you. We've all got holes in us and traumas and wounds, and you can get in, and the demons can get in and possess your mind and put twisted thoughts in there and make you argue with somebody. It works through people, pretending that he's light. Oh, I've lost my train of thought. Hang on. Oh yeah, so they can come as light and give you visions, and they can come in dreams as well. And again, I think I've been deceived in visions and dreams, and you all will have been. So you need to be discerning and decide and find out if they are, truly working for. Well, it's for God, because he's coming as light, he's coming as Satan. If they are not in agreement, reject the vision, miracle dream, as it means from God, because it's coming from another source. So how are you going to find that out? How do you know? Because it's going to feel so real. It's your visions. It's like, yeah, I had this vision. I told all my friends. Like, wow, I had all this information put into my head. It was amazing. But when I look back, it's like, oh, what the heck? And that's it. It's very sly, very cunning. So why? Why would he do that? Why? Because the warfare, the spiritual warfare, is for your soul. And the battleground is you. So God, the Creator, who gave you the soul, he loves you so much. It's a love that you just can't comprehend it. You never will. And he wants you home. He wants you to come back. And he knows that the enemy is equally with as much vengeance, and he wants that soul too. And he said, I will have the souls of men. He wants your soul. So there's a spiritual warfare going on with angels and demons and whatever it is, and they're fighting over your soul, but in thoughts, in visions, dreams, whatever. But you've got to be discerning of where it's coming from. And maybe you can start looking at that yourselves and seeing. And if you read the Bible, you will start getting a sense of real truth and authority from God coming through that. It will really help, so you can be more discerning about what's happening to you. Alright, so this is about Lucifer, you are the anointed cherub that covers, and I have set you so. You are upon the holy mountain of God. You have walked up and down the midst of the stones of fire. You are perfect in your ways from the day that you were created, till iniquity was found in thee. Isaiah. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How you cut down from the ground, which did weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So again, he's declaring that he is going to be like the Most High. So by bringing the beautiful divine creation out of your brain into the universe, then he can sit above that, even though it's all an illusion. It's not real, it's a perception, but it doesn't matter because you've given your free will to it. So he still owns your soul because you've given your free will. So I'm going to go into a little bit now of the trouble that I had first come into the Bible and why I resisted it for so long, etc. So I understand back in the day, I'm not sure when up to, I'm going to say up to when Jesus Christ came. So they all sacrificed for the sins. Your ancestors, because that's where we come, they all did that. Why? Why did they do that? So the offerer placed his hand on the animal, beheaded it and quartered it. After that, the priest placed it on the altar and the sacrifice was completely consumed. The blood was sprinkled all over the altar and around it. Along with the sacrifice, salt, fine flour, oil and wine, and frankincense were offered to God. Why? So our English word for atonement, at one-ment, explains well the theology behind such restoration, for it suggests that God and humanity can rationally be at one again. The first atonement occurs when God provided animal skins to cover Adam and Eve's nakedness, an act necessitating the death of a sinless animal, hence the shedding of its blood on their behalf. This introduces a theme that runs throughout the Bible. Atonement involves an innocent party taking the punishment that was due to a guilty party. The Hebrew word translated atonement is kafar, meaning to cover. This suggests that through the act of atonement, sin is covered so that God no longer sees it. So they had to keep doing it over and over again because, they were always going to be sinning. So they had to keep covering it up and sacrificing animals and spilling of blood to cover it up. And this is what went on then. Back in the day, you'd get, some people might like to get stoned to death. you get stoned to death for very, very tiny things that we just take for granted these days, It was a serious thing back in the day. So I'm just going to share, I had trouble. I'm going to say something, it's part of a prayer, and this is what has helped me to get closer into the Bible and into the world and what's happening and how I can see it with different eyes. So it goes, I believe that Jesus Christ is Son of the Holy Living Creator God, the Father Yahweh. He was born of a virgin, nailed to the cross, shed his blood and died for the forgiveness of my sins. On the third day, he rose again to gain victory over Satan and the grave. Jesus ascended and is seated at the right hand of God the Father, with all authority over all principalities and powers. The Holy Spirit is one and co-equal with the Father and the Son. So when I first, in the back, one of the things what meant was the virgin birth. I couldn't get my head around that. It's like, no, it must mean something else. It must mean she was pure, like some sort of pure line or something like that. It's not possible, it's impossible. But I didn't know about God then. I didn't know about the Holy Spirit. And that's not mentioned too much. It has been more recently since I've got more into it myself. So the Holy Spirit, so the angel answered and said to her, the Holy Spirit will come upon you and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore also that Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God. For with God nothing will be impossible. And it's like, wow, I have actually had an experience and an encounter with the Holy Spirit. It does feel like that, like a golden stuff. I didn't know about the Holy Spirit then, but that's what it was like. So he's like the medium that can come and do God's work. God can't appear in front of you. He'll just disintegrates. It's not possible. It's not possible. So he has to have something so he can reach out to you. It's all there. So I thought, okay. And also, I had put a few things on where there was lots and lots in the Bible, the Old Testament, of barren women. Lots of barren women. Jacob's wife, Sarah, was barren. Samson's mother was barren. Elizabeth, I think, as Mary's sister, was barren. There was lots of barren women, and God stepped in, and it was witnessed by the people because they were praying to God, and God was there. He was benevolent. He could fit what the prophets were saying that God would do. He did, so the people believed, and because God anointed the prophets to do his bidding for him, and the people trusted. And Angel answered again, Holy Spirit, it does feel like deep bliss. After having all the other experiences that I've had, that one, very natural. I don't have to drink some stuff. I don't think I'm dead or alive. I'm not frightened, terrified. I'm not sick. It's very peaceful. It's very gentle. It's very tangible. The information, if you do get guidance, is very gentle. It's in your heart, you know. And it's to be experienced for the self. The self has got to go out there and experience it to see if it is true for you. So going back, so this virgin birth, he shed his blood and died for my sins. So what's that all about? I was like, I don't get it. I don't have any sins. I'm a good person. I didn't understand, and because the world's been so convoluted, I didn't get it. So when I started to understand atonement, what that meant, what they did, well, they did that. They were covering it up, and covering it up. And then I read about the Passover and what that did, and that was witnessed. It's like, wow, is that still celebrated? I see what Jesus was the only, I'm going to say, deity that was around that said he was the Son of God and showed miracles. It was witnessed by thousands of people. It's all there in the scriptures. And it's still here today, 2,000 years later. We're still talking about it. So when I think about, right, okay, so it was God, came upon Mary and she conceived. God can't just come and appear like a puff of smoke, or however you might imagine if God turned up. How would you know? How would you even know anyway? So the number 33 is really prominent throughout the Bible, and the Freemasons have took that number, everything they turn upside down and use it for a negative. So the 33 is 33% of God coming in a form that was created to house him, and the Holy Spirit made that possible, so that when he was here, it's God as flesh. And as far-fetched as it might seem, what else is he supposed to do? So he came back for you. And he died at 33. It runs throughout the Bible quite a lot. And it's like, wow. So God as man. And that's why could be no sin near him. Demons, he could cast demons out. They scream. Demons scream if you say his name. I've heard this on the videos as well. It's like, wow. He was God, without a doubt. And he can only do that. But if you don't believe it, or you've not even tried it out, and you're not going to have any faith to at least give it a go, then you're going to miss out. So he came, he did that, and he didn't just cover the sins up, he washed them off, because he couldn't keep doing that. So he washed them completely off, and you can't even appreciate that that's what happened, because the spilling of blood is what they did to atone. And God came back for you, and for you, and for you, and for you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, all of you. God came back for all of you, and you don't even see it. You have got an eternal soul, whether you believe it or not. So why just live for, 60, 70, 80, 90 years when you can have eternal life? It's absolute sacrilege. And I tell you this, one day you'll take your last breath, and in 50 years you'll all be dead. All of you. You were born, you can't undo it, your soul was created, and you'll all die. without a doubt. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you're not just testing it out to see if it's true, but I tell you what, I'll tell you this, when you find out and you're on your last breath, or maybe you don't do it in time, I don't know, you'll be like, damn, I could have celebrated while I was in my body and I missed out. And I could have spread the word to loads of other souls so they can all go back together. And it's not just about what happens when you die. Your life gets enhanced while you're still here. More than I can tell you. My life is amazing now. I've been on a roller coaster like that. And when you first find it, the enemy jumped on me, because I've been doing the enemy's bidding for a long time. You know, being a child of God, I'm God and all the rest of it, doing the Reiki and the healing and this, that and the other. And I was always nice to people. I was doing angels. But I tell you what, God will say, so, what did you do while you were there on the earth? Oh, well, God, you know, I looked after my body and I went to the gym and I ate loads of vitamins and loads of vegetables and I kept my body trim and, you know, I looked after my body and, you know, what did you do for your soul? Oh, well, I put an elephant on a table, I put some crystals around it, did a little jig, walked around in a circle 3 times, you know. It's like, no.
Love and fear. All you need to remember is you make your decisions out of love. If you make your decisions out of love...
And where does the love come from? It comes from God. Satan is fear, God is love. Simple. Love and fear is all you have. So anything that gets convoluted is coming from the enemy. I'm sorry that it's upsetting you, and I will pray for you.
I know, and I feel sorry for you and all, because you're a lovely lady, but you're going off your rails.
Anyway, so on the third day, he rose again to gain victory over Satan in the grave. What's that? Because you have 2 deaths, your body will die, like I've just said, but then it is your choice. Your free will. I've already pointed out that your free will's being taken so easily over a piece of paper. You're handing it over just by being born and getting registered at birth. Your parents have handed your free will over and then you become that. So I'm sorry it's upsetting a few people, but, you know, it's... Because of my journey and what it's took me and what I've been through, I just feel in absolute alignment and I'm so thrilled about that. So he's seated at the right hand of God and he's got all authority over all principalities and powers, which is the enemy, which is, you know, the fear that's out in the world. Look at the fear-based living that we live under. It's all oppression, it's all fear-based, everything. You know it's true. You know. You know it's coming from. Yep. Jesus has all authority over all principalities and powers. So, also, the end times of... I've been watching since about 2012, something like that. These things are starting to happen. It's not usually put on the mainstream TV because they won't want you to know, but this is happening a lot. Loads of dead fish, birds, the ground cracking open, you know, things are happening. He says it in Revelations. It's like, it's the book of life. He's telling you, come on, I want his soul. He's not getting enough yet. He wants all. God wants all the souls back. You can you just resist it if you want. It's your free will, it's your choice. But this is happening. And this is how he showed the people back in the day, you know, that he was God. I tell the prophets that I will send, you know, pestilence, I will send, I'll turn the river to blood, etc. And that happened, and the people knew that it was God. And they used to say, God is with you. And they were terrified. God was with Moses, God was with Jacob, Isaac, Abraham. And the people were terrified, and they wanted to join because they could see God in action. There he is. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. So he's a very, you know, he's come as you are, you know, there's no grandeur, he doesn't have a corn on his head that's worth a fortune, do you know what I mean? It's like, look at it, look at the hypocrisy, what's going on in your face. Funding fake space programs, doing all these signs and lying tongue, and it's like, and we'll just go to work 8 hours a day, yeah, I'm tired, I've got to pay the bills, and off we go doing all that, and we're slave to it. Now, what I've realised as well is you can't do anything about it. In that paper spinning ball world, they own it. You know, you're in my house, you abide by my rules, so if you're being a piece of paper, you're in that, the legal system's protecting it, you can't do anything, it's separate. Stand on God's still fat, beautiful earth and be in alignment with God, turn, The more that turn, watch what God does, watch God step in and watch what happens, because that's what used to happen and that's what will happen. But there's not enough. There's not enough souls yet, because he wants you all back. Every soul is precious beyond imagination to the Lord. Every soul. Even if you deny him, it's still precious to him. Oh, that's my nice picture. I can't believe that I'm stood here saying this, because last year I was still a new ager. You know, it's happened so quickly and the impact has been so powerful. It's like, here's the Lord of the dance. And they've copied that as well, you know, with all the false gods and what have you. So Jesus saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. I'll wrap it up there then. I have to shout though.
Okay, has anybody got some questions?
Where's your proof? Any of it?
We haven't got a radio mic on.
Right. So where's the proof? That gentleman asks.
Who said that? Where's the
Gentleman
proof?
at the back.
Well, why don't you find out for yourself? I'm not proving it to you. I'm not God. Go and open your heart and say, okay, this woman's been saying all this stuff. I don't know if it's doing something to your heart and your soul or not. Go and ask him for yourself and see what happens. Somebody in this room is going to get a miracle. Somebody in this room something is going to happen. Something, because it's got to be witnessed. And I'm stood here potentially making a fool of myself. And frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, because I will speak for the Lord. Somebody in this room is going to get a miracle. And
Can I just say, I feel I have to say, because I'm on your page, love. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. All I'm saying is, when I went to Sunday school and I had this,
it frightened you.
Sunday school.
I never found, yeah, when I was 16-year-old, I was baptised. I never found peace. This
When you
new
were-
age that you're calling, there are grades of it. That it's not a spectrum of you can do what you want and it doesn't matter. But I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And I found the peace without all this.
That's your way. Can we have
That's fine.
Sorry.
It's not.
I'm not calling. I think
I've found a living God. I've had the Holy Spirit. I have been baptised.
Yeah.
I've felt it. And I know what you're saying, but it's nice to know the story and what's happened so that you can really make that decision. That's the truth. It's in here.
The Bible's not literal.
Well, it is to me, and it's to a lot of people. The Queen thinks it's literal. They know it's the truth, and that's why the astronauts wouldn't swear on the Bible when they were so-called gone to the moon and Apollo, whatever. They would not swear on it because it's the book of the truth. It's the book of life. It's the key, the door, the way, the truth, the life to get out of here for your soul. You're just a body. You've got a soul. That's who you are. Your essence of yourself, you know.
The gentleman at the back there.
Hi, Janet. Right, I'll come from a different perspective now. I sussed out the Bible is a book on law, property, jurisdiction, and the living.
I know you said that before.
Yeah. What I'm going to say to you is how it works is the Bible is what it is. The Queen knows and the government know this.
If I'm not talking about, I don't care about that. We've moved past that now.
No, I'm actually saying, if you listen to what I'm saying, when I sussed out that what it is, because you've been put on a birth certificate, your parents signed you on, you have raised yourself as a persona above God in law. So that's why when you go to court, they ask for your state name.
Yeah, but it's still in the paper ball world. I didn't go in court. I'm not in that world. I don't.
If you just listen to what I'm saying, Janet, you'll understand. So what it means is, in law, you've put yourself above God, so you have to provide the remedy, and that's why they ask for your state name, because you have to provide the remedy, the solution, because if Jesus came...
I don't have to do anything.
No,
No.
I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say to you is that according to law, the real law, which is the royal law, and this is coming from a lawyer, L.L. Blake. I've got his book, he's a lawyer, L.L. Blake, it's called The Royal Law, right? And what it's based on is because the Queen is supposed to be the upholder, she made the promise when she made this is the most important book to uphold it. But unfortunately, the Queen, her powers have been slotted away under democracy and the system of legalese, because legalese is a load of baloney in any case. It's just to dispossess you. But what the Bible is, the key is to obtaining your birthright. When I sussed it all out, what the Bible is...
Be birthright to what? To this life, to this fleshly existence for 70, 80 or 90 years, is that it? Because that's not... I'm going to have such a wonderful experience with what's left, but it's later.
Your birthright was when you was born, your parents born, before your parents had your birth certificate, that was your birthright, which means your life, your living, and your right to own property. And that's why the City of London, the square mile, is private, and our laws, the United Kingdom laws, have no bearing on those people because they're the ones who own the property. So if you own property, Jana, under God's jurisdiction,
Right.
you only pay a tithe, an increase. That's the Jewish law under the Bible. So it means you only pay a tithe and increase. So it doesn't mean money, it just means when God is saying in law that you have been given a piece of land, you're allowed to live on it, a property, but all your fruit and all your labours, you pay a tithe, not to the Queen, obviously. You pay it to the people in the community.
Yeah, but you're still missing the point. That's all. I get what you're saying. It's probably true, but they still made their own world, so they can bend through it. They've got the world and they've bent it. They've warped your perception and bent it. Everybody's on an axis. You're walking like you're not in alignment. So you're right what you're saying.
Do you know in the Bible which says Jesus says, "Pay unto Caesar what is rightly is, pay unto God what is due."
That's right. Yeah.
Caesar's secular world is godless world we live in now. And that's why we have to pay under this fraudulent Roman canon law, contract law, and that is when I sussed out what the biblical law is, the royal law. It's the supreme law.
I'll tell you what, take Jesus with you and you're on a good mission. Brilliant.
I can understand what that gentleman's saying because they've used the Bible to create this structure.
And they've used the Bible, God, good, devil, evil, and
They've-
as Darren Diogi says,
but they've had to.
They've manipulated it.
Yeah.
It's like they cover everything.
Of course they have. It's all
They use it
deception,
to create
counterfeit,
deceptions.
distort.
Paul, you want?
I wanted to say,
He's hiding it.
basically trying to say that the paper-based reality we live in,
You have to shout, Paul, I can't hear you.
the paper-based reality we live in is artificial. That's what you've been stating in one part of the talk. But then the rest of it has been based on a book made out of paper.
That's interesting. So the paper-based reality is artificial, but she's basing it on a book made out of paper.
Exactly.
That's a good.
Words written
That's
on a
good.
piece of paper.
Can you tweak it down a bit?
Yeah, it is now, but originally it was in the scriptures. You need to have a look. They've been passed down.
Yeah, but the scriptures are culturally relative and relative to that time.
I don't care. What you're forgetting as well, I can't, I'm not here to defend God, and I will not, because it's...
Nobody's asking you to, we're just putting a point forward.
Truth is
See, the ego's
timeless.
coming
Sorry?
out there.
Truth is timeless.
No, it's faith. Where's your faith? You have to, sometimes you've got to take a leap of faith,
And I have.
and then the truth comes later, and it doesn't matter. We're all together. We're all together in this.
Disagree with that.
But we find it different
Belief
ways.
isn't knowledge.
And that's why
Sorry?
we're all aspects of God.
But
Finding
Janet, that's
truth
why
in
God
different
says
ways.
question everything as well. God says in the Bible, question everything and have a hope and heart, even if people disagree you.
Okay.
You can't be closed-minded, Janet. You've got to be open and be a bit more lenient, as I've done with people. They don't understand what the Bible is, a book of law.
Yeah, you can take the book both
It's a book
ways.
of life to me.
The book of life, which is the Bible, the
Yeah.
Holy Scriptures were Holy.
That's what it is,
that-
life, law, liberty, freedom and property.
I understand,
That's
but
what
they've
it is.
also created the scenario that we live in around that. So
Yeah,
they've
the
manipulated
creator
everything
is the one who's
to
the
tie it in.
supreme law. The creator has the right to make the laws, and the creator is the property and
Come-
jurisdiction.
This gentleman was before you, so can I do this one and we'll do you the last one?
So the gentleman across here.
So the Bible's like from day one, basically.
Sorry, can you speak a bit louder, please?
The Bible's from day one. Yeah? It was written from day one, basically about Jesus and God.
The Bible from day one's littered with Jesus.
It was written when Jesus
Sorry?
was around.
Written when Jesus was. It wasn't written when Jesus was born. It was written a long time afterwards, wasn't it? Yeah.
After what,
It's been. Sorry, can we hear what he's trying to say? If you're all talking, we can't.
it's been references to the Quran. That's what
It's-
the Quran. So it's to make pull the evil bits out of the Bible says this, that, Jesus says this and that, which is correct.
So he's just saying that the original Bible's been manipulated and the parts have been taken out of it. But
Yeah, you're probably right, but regardless, there's enough in it for my and a lot of other people to know. That's where the faith comes from. There's enough in it anyway to give me the faith I need to trust it. With books missing, you're right. There are books missing. Of course there are.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Ezekiel and the other books. There's bits missing. So unless you've got the whole story,
Nuns, Catholics especially,
But a lot of it's based on faith. You know, faith.
yeah, we're talking about a system that's totally. I mean, right. This gentleman's going on about nuns and things. Basically, that system has been used to manipulate how we've gone through. It's a lot of manipulation. They've manipulated everything since day one. They always will do. Last question is this gentleman with the glasses here. Oh.
Yeah, John, I agree with what you said. Probably 100%.
Or is that right? Where's it coming
Gentleman
from?
there, he says he agrees with what you
I
say.
agree with what you said. Do you see this current battle with the New World Order sort of gaining prominence in the world as being the absence of God?
What's he saying?
Do you see the New World Order battle that's going on in the absence of God? What else are you saying?
Yeah, and that basically we're fighting fallen angels, these transdimensional entities.
He's saying about fighting the fallen angels that feed
Yeah,
him.
the spiritual warfare.
Yeah, spiritual warfare.
Yeah. Well, their agenda. I've seen. Write this down. If this doesn't do it for you, Apollyon's Key. If you watch it, there's quite a few videos. It might take you a week to watch them all, but oh wow, she goes into all the history. She pulls it all in. It's like what's happening now, what's happening then, what they were doing it for. And part of their agenda is to Satan wants his own race of men. He wants to alter the DNA coding, and they've already they're nearly there. And once that's happened, God's out the picture altogether. There's no hope for you then, you know. He wants what's it, like immortality of the flesh. So they've got this idea now where they can put these little things on your skin, you know, a bit like what's it, patch.
Tattoo.
Yeah, and it makes you better. It's constantly just renewing your body, so you don't die. And that's when he's got his race of men.
Last question from Neil.
What's your opinion on other religions?
What's your opinion on other religions?
Well, I've the false, Buddha, 6 sixes. So if God's come back to wash the sin off, there is no karma. So what are you trying to deal with your karma for? Oh, I've got to sit here and so it's karma. It's not. It's Satan telling it's karma, so you've got to fix it yourself because you are God when it's already done for you. There is no such thing as karma. Sorry?
He's saying you're just disregarding millions of other people's faiths.
I'm sorry, but that's
how you see it.
That's what I see. And I've also read recently that. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that. It's in the film, Apollyon's Key, but it tells you a bit of the history about Muhammad. Yeah. So have a look.
Okay, I think that's it now.
Yeah.
Can we have a big thank you for Janet Sargent? It's been hard work standing here and thank you for doing a good job.